Hello, my angels, and welcome back. So today, I want to talk a little bit about the let them theory. You probably would have heard this is absolutely everywhere, and I think it is amazing. I think it's incredible. It's shared by Mel Robbins, and it is great, but I think there's something really important that we can take from this that is missing. And so let's first of all talk about the let them theory. The let them theory is around letting people do what it is they want to do. Stop trying to control everyone else. Stop trying to get people to treat you better and just let them. And I think this is an amazing concept because so often we can find ourselves in a position with people where we can see what they are doing wrong in their lives, and we can see that they're treating us badly, and we're allowing ourselves to feel so many emotions, whether we have control of them or not. We don't feel like we have control of them in the moment, and we are letting these things happen, and we continue to keep these people around us or these things around us that do not benefit us. And this let them theory is to stop trying to control the situation, stop trying to control the narrative. Like, if somebody's going to hurt you and do something wrong, they're going to hurt you and do something wrong. There's no point you sitting up all night, worrying, waiting, crying. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. But I want us to shift our perspective. I think it's important to fully take the energy away from them and onto us. Instead of let them, why don't you let yourself? Let yourself do the things that you keep putting off doing. Let yourself create that business that you are not doing because you're scared about what other people think. That thing that you really want to do, but you fear the judgment and you have imposter syndrome. You're comparing yourself to other people. Instead of letting others just do things, because they're going to do what they do anyway, whether you let them or not, right? Why don't you let yourself? We need to bring that focus back inwards. When we start looking at letting people do things, we're putting the energy into them, right? Because we're saying, well, they're doing all that stuff, I'm just going to let them do it. But it's still in the back of your mind. It's still there. The focus is still on them, whether you want it to be or not, because you're even saying let them. Instead of saying let them, start saying I let myself. I let myself do all the things that I want to do without caring. Let them be over there. They're over there doing their thing. What is it that I actually want to do? Where is it that I want to be? If we flip that mirror for a second and start to look at the way that we are showing up in life, what is it in your life right now that you are doing that if you could change, and you could change instantly, like no questions asked, you could change it, and you know it would positively impact your life, what would that be? What would that one thing be that you could do that could make you a better version of yourself? And let yourself do it. Now, the reason that we don't do it is all in the mindset. This is all about perception shift and mindset shifts, right? So when we're thinking about what they're doing and we're saying let them, we're then causing ourselves to put up boundaries with those people, which is great. When we say let yourself, I'm letting myself do stuff, we then turn the focus into a place where we can grow. When you're putting the focus on them, you can't grow because you can, but the energy is on them. It's not in your control what they do, where they grow. Now, I'm not saying the let them theory is wrong at all. I think it's incredible. I think it's amazing. But I think we can expand that. I think we can expand it more to letting ourselves do all these amazing things that we want to do instead of concentrating on what other people are doing. Because even though you're saying I let them, you've still got the them in your mind. Now, your mind doesn't know what's good or bad. It just hears the word, right? And so if you've put a face to the them, that's what's going to be persistent in your mind. The mind is, yes, very clever, but it is also a place that it will believe whatever you tell it, right? It will take in and absorb everything that you tell it. And when you've put a face to that them, you still have that person in the back of your mind. You still have all those emotions then attached to that thought. And that's still a trigger within the body. We need to remove that. We need to get rid of that. And the way that we remove that and get rid of that is we starve it. You want to get rid of something, you starve it of your energy, and you switch your energy into a place where it needs to be fed. And what do we need to feed? Ourselves. We need to feed the places that we want to go and where we want to be, because that's the only thing you have control over is yourself. So we have to then look at our mindset and start putting the focus on us and look at why are we not achieving these things or doing these things. I asked you, what would that one thing be? Why are you not doing that? Is it because subconsciously deep down in the back of your mind, you're concentrating too much on blocking this person out and putting so much energy on placing up boundaries that the energy could be going into a place that's going to positively impact you? It takes a hell of a lot to put up a boundary. Put that boundary up, let it go, put the energy somewhere else. Let's focus somewhere else. Right? And say there's something that you want to achieve, there's something that you want to do, and you're not doing it, you're procrastinating it, or you're putting it off. I want you to take a moment with yourself and sit with yourself and ask yourself, why am I not already doing that? Now, you will have a set of beliefs come up. It will be, I'm not good enough, or I'm worried what other people think, blah, 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 whatever it may be. And when these thoughts come up, I want you to sit with them and tell yourself, I'm no longer going to think that way. This is no longer going to be my story. And I'm going to start to put a full focus on where it is that I want to go and what I want to achieve and what I want to do. Because that's the energy that we want to build. And that's the energy that we want to grow. So therefore, that's where we need to put our attention. You may also find, right, that when you're doing this sitting with yourself, and so often people will say, we're going to sit with us, we're going to take ourselves away from the bad habits, right? I'm going to take ourselves away from the bad habits, and I'm going to start to heal, and I'm going to start to work on my goals and my achievements and place those boundaries up with the people that I keep, going to the pub with that I know that aren't good for me. And so what will happen is you will no longer feel the void with drugs, alcohol, people that aren't good for you, toxic relationships, toxic things. And you will seclude yourself. This is really important because it's come to me for a reason. And you will seclude yourself. But what then happens is you fill the void with other habits. Now, these habits can be good, but like I say, too much of anything is not good for you. This is why it's important to sit with yourself. You may find that you are no longer drinking, or you're no longer keeping yourself around those people, or you've ended the relationship that's toxic for you, and you've started to go to the gym instead of spending time with that person that was a bad relationship, that was, to be fair, wasn't even spending time with them. You were sat at home crying all weekend because they were out doing whatever it is that they were doing and hurting your feelings, and you were sat at home doing nothing. Now you're spending that time, instead of overthinking and overanalyzing, you're spending that time putting your energy into the gym, say, for instance, or putting your energy into your business. Okay, now when we start to do those things and put our energy into achieving our goals, which is a great thing, what you will find is that you will have loads of beliefs come to the surface. You will feel like you want to sabotage it because your mind is still the same. Yes, you are physically making change. So you are constantly making that change in your mind. You're trying to rewire the mindset, right? But those thoughts are still there. The thoughts that were there before you made those changes to better your life. And so what tends to happen is people will go on this quest of letting themselves, right? You let yourself go and do all the things that you want to do to achieve your goals. But unless you work on this, unless you work on your mindset, you will go back to those old patterns. You will feel the pull to that person that you know that you need to let them do what they got to do. You will feel the pull back to the bad habits and the bad things because your thought processes are still the same. You've just pushed them away and started doing something new. But the mind likes to be familiar. So every time you move forward, it's going to start to pull you back, right? It's going to start to try and pull you back into those bad habits and those bad patterns. And that's what you will find. It's all well and good saying, we're going to let them and we're going to let ourselves. But unless we truly work on this, it can be so difficult to let them and to let ourselves do the things that we need to do because our thought process is still the same. So the way that you flip that thought process is you don't fill the void. You don't fill the void with drugs and alcohol, but you also, or whatever your vice is, right? It doesn't even have to be those things. It could be a toxic relationship, like I say, any of those things. You don't fill the void with that, but you also don't fill the void with the good habits. You allow the good habits to be present in your life more so than the bad, and you allow them to push you forward. But in those moments where you are still, where you are not at the gym or not working towards your goals, you sit with yourself. You don't binge watch Netflix. Like, yeah, go ahead, do that if you want to do that. Go do the face masks and the lovely things. You know, that's what people think is self-care. But actual self-care and actually letting yourself achieve the things that you want to achieve is being in stillness and listening to your thoughts and understanding them. Because otherwise you're always going to go back to that person that's bad for you. You're always going to go back to the habits that aren't good for you. And you're not going to let yourself drive forward. You're going to let yourself fall back. So why is it that you kept that person in your life in the first place? Let's get to the root. Is there a similarity with that person with your caregivers from when you were a child? Because 9 times out of 10, that's what it is. If we're trying to fix someone or fix something, it's because there was someone in our childhood that didn't take care of us that we wanted to fix and we weren't able to. So now we try and fix them to prove to ourselves that we are worthy enough. If it is going to the gym, and you drive to the gym and you go to the gym and you sit outside of it for an hour. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you go in and you're really good and you get on it. But slowly after a while, you start to find that you're really struggling to get in there. Or you don't spend as long in there. Or you don't work out as hard. Why is that? Why is it that you're not in there? Is it because you keep seeing yourself in the mirrors? Is it because you think everyone's looking at you? Why do you think everyone's looking at you? It's sitting with ourselves, and this is why journaling is so amazing, and understanding why we think the way we think and where it may come from. And I'm not saying live in the past and be like, oh, poor me, I went through this. It's not your fault what happened to you, but it's your responsibility to use it as fuel to change your behaviors and your patterns to better your life. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to heal it. So when we can see that we keep going back to that person that we're saying we're going to let them, but we still keep answering their messages. We need to see what is the trauma and the wounding that is keeping us connected to that person. What is it when you finally let yourself create that business that after 3 months you fall off the wagon because you're not seeing the results? Why do you do that? You know that's the business that you want. You knew that it was going to take time. Is it because you're now because you haven't got as many sales as you thought, that it's proving to your subconscious that you're not good enough? Why do you not think you're not good enough? Because when I was a child, I was told I would not amount to anything. The mind believes whatever you tell it. And if when you were at any point, this doesn't even mean childhood, we can create beliefs at any point throughout your life. If somebody tells you something or you have a thought and there is a heavy emotion attached to it, they link. And they're like, this must be true. The mind, body, soul is connected. And it says, this must be true. So somebody hurt your feelings and told you that you weren't good looking. They made you feel like that you were ugly, right? For example, this brought up feelings of sadness, upset. These are strong feelings of feeling like you're not good enough. All these feelings, and you're thinking, oh my God, am I ugly? Am I not good enough? Can I not achieve anything? This person keeps telling me I can't achieve anything. You're linking that thought with that emotion, and your body's saying, well, that must be true then. That must be true. Then what happens is, because the mind thinks it's true, it's always trying to find things that prove itself right. You will always try and find things to prove yourself right, even if it's in the subconscious. So then you go and attract the relationships that are going to make you feel exactly the same as that other person made you feel. And you're going to keep in that cycle until you realize and recognize where it comes from. Now, also, we can recognize where it comes from and then we don't know what to do with it. We have to release that emotion from the body, whether that be to cry, releasing the cortisol through, because cortisol, the stress hormone, gets released physically through the body through crying, whether that is screaming, shouting, letting it down, journaling, writing a letter, and actually allowing yourself to feel your emotions. We don't want to sit and dwell in it, but we want to feel it to heal it and let go of it. And that's how you break those patterns down, right? That's how you recognize those patterns, and you don't feel a void within yourself with bad habits or good habits. Right? I believe that all of us have those bad habits, and sometimes those are things that we have to work on our whole life. But even the things that are good for us, too much of anything isn't good for you. To be working 100 odd hours a week is not good for your mental state. You're avoiding things when you do that. So we want to get out of the energy of avoidance and into the energy of feeling pure. And like, not pure, but calm, pure, calm, and happy with who we are. And we can only do that when we work on our mindset. And so instead of letting them, it's time to let yourself be who you really authentically are. And the only way you can be yourself is if you truly find yourself. And the only way you can find yourself is if you spend quality time with yourself. I don't mean watching TV and spending time on video games. That's not spending time with yourself. Spending time with yourself is cooking that nice meal and putting love and time and effort into it, and listening to your thoughts, or listening to the music that you like and filling your thoughts with something more positive, right? It's taking time with you. How you would treat the love of your life is how you should be treating yourself. So it's time to let yourself love yourself. I hope that's helped you. Lots of love and light to you, my darlings, and I will see you in the next one.